You can say, this is an audio test for Community Access Television Services, coming to you live from the Monroe County Courthouse at the County Commissioners meeting this morning.
And I will note for the record that all three commissioners are present here in the NetU Hill room. And I'll turn this over to Commissioner Jones to read our statement first.
Yes. We, the Monroe County Board of Commissioners, renew our commitment to welcome and protect the rights of all people, regardless of age, race, color, creed, disability, sexual orientation, gender identity, marital status, economic status, and national origin. And we affirm the right of every person to live peacefully and without fear, and we will fight and resist at every step discrimination and harmful policies, whatever their source. We also stand in support of our county public school systems, both RBB and MCCSC.
Thank you. And now we have a proclamation.
Yes. Whereas emergency medical services are a vital part of our healthcare system, we are proud to honor their service by recognizing May 21st through 27th, 2023 as Emergency Medical Services Appreciation Week. And every medical emergency begins and ends locally, from motor vehicle accidents to strokes to drug overdoses to shootings. And the services provided by emergency medical providers are the front line in these situations throughout Monroe County.
And during the COVID-19 pandemic, EMS personnel stepped up to help triage patients at hospitals and administer vaccines, going beyond the call of duty. And National EMS Week was first declared in 1974 under the direction of President Gerald Ford. This is the 49th annual National EMS Week, and this year's theme is EMS, where emergency care begins. And
every resident can play a part in improving medical outcomes by taking the 4-hour first on the scene training, which prepares the public to respond to medical crises that occur in everyday circumstances, stepping in until trained EMS providers arrive. Now, therefore, we, the Monroe County Board of Commissioners, proclaim May 21st through 27th, 2023 as Emergency Medical Services Appreciation Week. We wish to express our gratitude to the emergency medical service providers for their ongoing efforts to protect Monroe County residents 24/7, 365 days a year.
thank you. Now we will move on to department updates, starting with Ms. Kelly.
Morning, Commissioners. This is Kathy Hewitt from the Monroe County Health Department, and I'll be sitting in for Lori this morning. We have received some questions regarding the end of the public health emergency, so we wanted to share a little bit of information. So the first question was, does the end of the public health emergency mean COVID is over? That's a definite no. COVID-19 cases are down, but the end of the emergency declarations does not mean the virus is no longer a threat. The virus remains a leading cause of death in the United States, with about 250 daily deaths on average. CDC does continue to advise that everybody stay up to date with their COVID vaccinations, use at-home tests if they've been exposed or have symptoms, stay home if they're sick, and wear a high-quality mask if COVID levels are high. These precautions are always the best way to protect yourselves and your loved ones. Another question was, the CDC COVID data tracker has changed and doesn't include infection numbers. Does that mean they're no longer tracking COVID? And that's another no. They are doing it differently, however. The authorizations to collect certain types of public health data expired with the public health emergency, but they're still tracking COVID. You can visit the CDC to find information on how COVID is impacting your state and local community, as well as the recommended precautions based on levels of hospital admissions, because they're now focusing on how COVID-19 is impacting the community, and it's using hospital admission, deaths, and emergency department visits data, as well as wastewater surveillance as their primary surveillance metrics. The National Respiratory and Enteric Virus Surveillance System, who does the flu surveillance, is now collecting the COVID testing data. The CDC will no longer track community transmission or community levels. In Monroe County, our COVID hospitalization admission levels is low currently, such as is also the wastewater levels. However, 80 to 100% of samples still have detectable virus. And remember, if you are high risk of getting very sick, make sure you talk with your healthcare provider and make a plan for what to happen for what if you become exposed or infected with COVID. And people can choose to wear a mask at any time. Remember that people with symptoms, a positive test, or exposure to someone with COVID should always wear a high quality mask or respirator when indoors in public. So how does the end of the public health emergency affect community members? One way is just with COVID vaccines and testing and treatment. COVID-19 vaccines that were purchased as part of the federal COVID response will still remain free as long as the supply lasts, although some providers may bill your insurance a charge for administration. And access to and cost of testing and treatment will vary based on the type and availability of insurance. So the end of the emergency declaration will impact coverage for COVID testing, including at-home PCR and rapid testing coverage. And all that will vary by insurance type. So you want to check your insurance to see how this is going to apply to you. The treatments that have been provided by the federal government still should remain free as long as the supply lasts. But if they have to administrate the treatment as through an IV, the provider can charge for administration fees. The Monroe County Health Department will continue to have at-home free COVID tests that can be picked up at our office at 119 West 7th Street. You can call 812-349-2543 for more information. And the Monroe County Public Health Clinic, which is a partnership between the Monroe County Health Department and IU Health, also still has free COVID vaccines. So call 812-353-3244 to make an appointment. The Health Department would also like to share that food inspection reports are now available on the Monroe County Department page on the Monroe County website. If you are interested, you can find them by going to www.co.monroe.in.us, find the Health Department on the community page, and click on the food safety badge. Visitors can also visit the page to make a food safety complaint. And lastly, leaders from the Indiana Department of Health and the Indiana Family and Social Services Administration recently celebrated the completion of the rollout of My Healthy Baby. And this is the state's obstetrical navigator program that's designed to improve health outcomes in Indiana for mother and baby. It is a partnership between IDOH, FSSA, and the Indiana Department of Child Services, and it connects pregnant women who are enrolled in Medicaid with free home visiting services and support in the communities during the pregnancy and during the baby's first year of life. Eligible women can be referred to My Healthy Baby by their doctor, or then they can refer themselves by visiting www.myhealthybabyindiana.com or calling 844-624-6667. That's what I have for you today.
Thank you. Questions or comments, Commissioner Jones?
That was a lot of information. I'm especially pleased to hear about the Healthy Baby Initiative. That is, I hope that many people will be hearing about that.
Yeah, I agree. And thank you for all the information, especially about what it means when there's no longer an official public health emergency. I appreciate that. We're still losing a lot of Americans every week. So thank you.
And
Thank you.
would you please remind the public who all is eligible to get what is still free vaccination?
Okay,
Like
everybody.
if you're 65 or older, you can get a second
Right.
boost, right?
Right. If you're 65 or older, you can get a booster as long as a second bivalent booster, as long as it's been 4 months since your last one. And if you're immunocompromised, it can be 2 months after your last one. So.
And those are available at the public health clinic.
Correct.
on
Those are
Miller.
available at the Public Health Clinic on Miller Drive. Is everybody ages 6 or older can receive an updated bivalent booster, regardless of whether they previously completed their primary series as well. So if you can't have the mRNA vaccine, you still can get the monovalent Novavax or Johnson & Johnson. So otherwise, the Pfizer and the Moderna monovalent vaccines are no longer approved.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other department that has an update for us? Yes, Ms. McAfee.
Hello,
Welcome.
good morning. Gosh, it's very dark in my office. I think I should come to you from outside next time because it's really pretty outside. Hi, I am here to talk to you again about our probation advisory work group. We are looking for individuals 18 to 25-ish who had some level of connection with probation as a juvenile. And we are working on forming a work group that these individuals can help kind of guide us into what did we do well, what do we need to do more of, and what did we do maybe not so great that they would like to see us do a little bit less of. I know that this is a brand new concept for our community. So if anybody is watching this or knows somebody who knows somebody and just has questions about what is it really, what are we looking for, what do we want, I would love to come and talk to individuals. We can email, we can do lunch, we can have coffee, we can talk on the phone, just to kind of get the word out there and spread the good news about what this is and what we're trying to hope and what we are hoping to do with it. So thank you for letting me be here.
Thank you. Questions or comments, Commissioner Jones?
Well, thank you for making that information available. I hope that you can easily come up with the people you need for it.
All right, thank you so much. Great idea.
Thank
And
you.
I think this also fits in with the sequential intercept model that we are looking at for our entire community justice system. So I really appreciate the effort. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that that's so fascinating how so many pieces of both the youth justice system and the adult system are really starting to kind of line up and partner. So hopefully this can be one of many successful adventures.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other departments with an update for us today? Seeing none, we'll move on to public comment. This is for items that are not on our agenda. There's a limit of 3 minutes per speaker. Please identify yourself and whether or not you're a Monroe County resident. And I see that we have Ms. Pearl from the Bloomington Economic Development Corporation here with us.
Thank you.
All right, good morning. My name is Jen Pearl, and I'm the president of the Bloomington Economic Development Corporation, a nonprofit that serves all of Monroe County in advancing economic development for the community. Economic development is fostering conditions for prosperity. The reason I wanted to come today was just to thank the county for their ongoing support of the BEDC and our efforts, and also provide an update. I provided copies of our 2022 annual report, which came out this spring. It's available at bloomingtonedc.com under the news section of our website for anyone else who would like to see it. In terms of the local landscape that we're working with right now, we all know that Monroe County is a hub for talent and innovation over time. We sit on that innovation corridor between IU and NSWC Crane. With really strong clusters in areas like the life sciences. There's 10,000 people that work in life sciences in our community out of around 70,000 or so in the overall workforce. We have higher education with 10,000 workers. We have advanced manufacturing, defense, and a growing tech sector. We also have a very highly educated workforce. We're a regional hub for employers. About half of the staff for our largest employers come from outside of Monroe County. So while we have an amazing base that's here within the community, we also have so many people that are coming in. So we're really a regional hub in many ways. This is a very unique time for our community. You have these national opportunities coming down the line with the U.S. CHIPS and Science Act and infrastructure funds. We also have some very unique opportunities within the community itself. IU has relatively new leadership and the IU 2030 plan that they are launching that will impact the community for years to come. We have local elections this year and many other things. And if done right, this is really an opportunity to launch ourselves into a very strong future. The BEDC is working on strategy within this landscape. One is ensuring inclusive growth for our community. You all have heard me talk before about the Economic Vitality Project, which is trying to address things like jobs growth, workforce, attainable housing, quality of life, and more. And we're very grateful to Commissioner Githens for all of your participation on the steering committee and your expertise, as well as all of the commissioners who have contributed to that over time. We're also working to grow future-focused industries and employment. 76% of jobs in Monroe County come from the private sector, but we've seen other industries leave before, so we want to make sure we're fostering what's next for the community. Countywide, so this is sort of a recap of what we've done the last few years. Countywide in 2021 and 2022, we saw 3,000 new jobs, $612 million in capital expenditures, and projects that are outlined in the pages from like 19 to 25 in the guide before you. We're working on business attraction efforts and major life sciences support, both for our companies that are going through transitions right now, but others with new opportunities like Baxter. There's much more that I can say, but I'm out of time. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to talk with you more. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I see we have Mr. Beckham with his hand raised virtually. Go ahead, Mr. Beckham. Are you Mr. Beckham? Okay. Well, Mr. Beckham has been unmuted and his hand is raised. If you don't wish to speak, Mr. Beckham, please lower your hand. If not, there's somebody here in the Net U Hill room who wishes to speak. Please join us.
My name's Kevin Meyer. I'm from Knox County. I just want to thank you guys for letting me and my company RQAW apply for your jail and stuff. We didn't come our way, and if I won them all, I wouldn't be here. I'd be already retired. So, but something's came up. I'm old school. I'm from the farm, and I always want to talk and thank each and every one of you guys for the opportunity. And I'm sure there's going to be other work down the road, and I'm looking forward to that. But some things that happened in my life that's kind of changed since you guys made that selection, and I've not been able to get here. So I just want to come up and publicly thank you guys, and look forward to working with you guys down the road. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for making the trip up. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Seeing none, let's move on to approval of the minutes.
I move approval of the minutes for May 3rd, 2023.
Second.
Are any corrections or comments? No, I didn't see any. So call for a vote. All those in favor of approval of the minutes of May 3rd, 2023 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Next item.
I move approval of the claims docket accounts payable May 17th, 2023 and payroll May 19th, 2023.
Second.
And we have Carly here for the first time. Welcome.
The green light.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, the accounts payable claims docket for May 17th, 2023 totals $9,837,092.26. The payroll docket for May 19th, 2023 includes $1,358,633.06 in direct costs and $539,629.76 in indirect costs, for a grand total of $1,928,262.82.
Thank you. Questions, comments, concerns?
No, I don't.
None. None. Okay. I don't either. Thank you, Carly, for your first time with us. Call for a vote on approval of claims docket. All those in favor signify by
Public comment.
Oh, public comment. Sorry. That's okay. I have to go back and forth between these things. Yeah. Okay.
It's okay.
Seeing none, a call for a vote on approval of the claims docket. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. We have in our packet a report from the 2022 Motor Vehicle Highway. It's very extensive.
I move approval of, I move that we accept the report for motor vehicle highway for 2022.
Second.
I don't think we need to go through this line by line, do we, Ms. Ritz?
She has it memorized.
Here like last night.
Yeah.
Commission. Yeah, if there's any questions, but yeah, it's a lot to absorb on that report.
Yeah.
It's very, very well done, very clear. So appreciate it.
Yeah. For anybody that has a few hours, we do have copies of it. So is there any questions or comments from my
No.
colleagues? Is there any public comment, questions? Mr. Beckham, you have your hand raised again?
Can you hear me now? Are you there?
Yes?
Okay, I had trouble getting my laptop to work. I had to switch to my phone. I don't know if I'm still able to make a public comment from earlier.
Well, let's do that after we take a vote then on this report, if that's
Oh,
okay.
All right, yeah, go ahead. That'll be at the end of the meeting.
Okay. No, just after we do this report, before we start new business. So, all those in favor of approving the 2022 motor vehicle highway report, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Now, Mr. Beckham, we'll take the opportunity to hear from you.
Yes, are you able to hear me again?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. So, yes, I had a concern. The Gordon Pike Extension Project that is running along the south side of town. Me and several property owners live right against that construction project. And they're building a sound wall, which we're happy about, but the sound wall is going to be 12 feet tall and right on top of the property line. So it's going to cast a big shade. It's a north-south wall, so it blocks the vast majority of the sunlight. So essentially it's going to turn all the grass into mud for over probably 50-60% of the yards. It's also going to shorten the lives of our trees and our vegetation in the area. I've been in contact with Lisa Ridge and Paul Satterley and Lee Baker, who advised me to make a public comment for you guys to record. And that was the main issue for the yards concerned properties. Also, one other point was for the stop sign at the intersection of Wickens and Gordon Pike. It's the main stop sign to get into the Highlands neighborhood. And talking to Paul Satterley, I don't think there's going to be any safety precautions for making a left turn out of there. So the concern for several of us is being able to turn on a very busy road once it's completed. And we weren't advised on any safety precautions as far as like putting a roundabout or a speed bump or a stoplight or an extra turn lane there. It's kind of like a wait and see was the impression I got, like on if there's going to be any accidents. So I just wanted to make a safety concern for the public as well, that that's going to be a potential danger at that intersection, and just that the county really looks at all the options for that as well. And that's pretty much all I have to say for my 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Beckham. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on now to new business, please.
I move approval of Baker Tilly US LLP engagement letter for consulting services related to the assistance with the American Rescue Plan Act. Fund name American Rescue Plan Act. Fund number 8950 in the amount of $116,450.
Second.
And we have Ms. Gregory here to talk with us about this.
Yes, good morning, commissioners. We spoke about this briefly at a work session a couple weeks ago, but I'm requesting program support for assistance with the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA. Due to the number of projects and just the vast program requirements, believe this is necessary as an added control just for support with policy, compliance, implementation, reporting, and assisting with pass-through programs. So the total expected, the budgeted amount for the 4 years of support is $116,450. And this is eligible under ARPA.
Questions or comments?
No, I don't. I think it's a good idea.
This is the definition of irony. So thank you for that. Appreciate the.
Well, and we worked with Baker Tilly recently with the addition of different townships to our Monroe Fire District. And so we're familiar with their work and with their personnel. So
They do a great job. Yeah.
They're assisting with ARPA and a lot of other communities. So we feel they'll be able to do well for us.
yes.
And I would just add that we did a fairly extensive interview process where we reached out to our current auditors and asked for their recommendations of vendors who they felt could support this. That auditing group could not because of conflicts of interest. And so we interviewed several candidates and the conclusion was that this was the proper group. I would say that this is not part of our ARPA plan yet. It's not been appropriated by county council. So your approval should be contingent upon those two things.
We need to modify the motion then.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and modify the motion that this has to be incorporated into our ARPA letter and and it requires county council approval.
Second.
Is there any public comment on either the amendment or the original motion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote first on the amendment to make this contingent upon approval by the county council and also adding it to our letter for inclusion in the ARPA. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The amendment passes 3-0. Is there any other discussion on the actual motion? Seeing none, call for a vote on the agreement with Baker Tilly to provide consulting services related to ARPA. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Gregory. Next item.
I move approval of an agreement with SHI Corporation Veeam Office 365 backup licensing, fund name Cumulative Capital Development Fund, fund number 1138, in the amount of $7,447.50.
Second.
And we have Mr. Crone with us. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Greg Cron, Technical Services Department. So anytime you make a change on your IT infrastructure, whether it's software or hardware related, that one change always undoubtedly has a ripple effect to your system, and there are little issues that have to be addressed as you go. Our upgrade to Office 365 from an on-premise product has proven no different. Our current Veeam software that does our backup appliance for us is only applicable to on-premise servers and virtual machines. It does not address and isn't compatible with cloud-based products. Now that we've went to 365, which is a cloud-based product, we need to change our licensing to be able to back that data up. Microsoft does not take ownership of customer data. They do not back it up. So that is solely the responsibility on us. So what I brought to you today is an agreement for 1 year with SHI Corporation to add 750 Veeam licenses for 365 backup.
Questions or comments? Mr. Jones.
Yeah, I remember occasions when there hasn't been backup and it's been pretty awful. So I definitely support this.
Thank you for bringing this forward.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for making sure that we're protected in this way.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote on the contract with SHI Corporation for the 365 backup licensing. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes 3-0. Thank you, Mr. Crone.
Thank you very much.
Next item, please.
I move approval of the Walmart Community Grant for on-scene safety for first responders. Fund name Emergency Management Walmart Grant, fund number 4931 in a grant amount of $1,000.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and we have Mr. Baker from Emergency Management Department here to talk with us.
Good morning, Commissioners. Yes, our agency has partnered up with a couple emergency services, one fire department, one police department, to help purchase very much needed first responder safety equipment for on-scene situations, such as accountability tags. And we applied through the Walmart Community Grant Foundation, and we received a $1,000 check. And this will go towards to helping make sure our first responders and the public stay safe during emergency situations. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions or comments, Commissioner Jones?
No, I don't.
Commissioner Thomas?
No questions.
I had to look up to see what an accountability tag was, and essentially, if you're on scene, especially for firefighters, if you're going into a building, you hand that
Yes.
tag off to somebody who's overseeing the whole operation, and then you claim it when you come back out. And so it's a way to ensure that everybody is accounted for. That's why it's an
Yes.
accountability tag, but it was a new term for me. So I did stop to figure out what it was. I appreciate you going after this money and to, again, help keep people safe. Is there any public comment on this? Seeing none, call for a vote on the approval of the Walmart Community Grant for on-scene safety for first responders. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Thank you, Mr. Baker.
Thank you.
Next item, please.
I move approval of resolution 2023-13, Highway and Health Department surplus property.
Second.
And we have Mr. Kreider here for the first of many items. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Richard Kreider, Fleet and Facilities. This request is to approve the declaration of listed items for surplus for the Highway and Health Departments. Inventory item 036, a 2003 Caterpillar 420D. This tractor has been replaced with new and will be sold at auction. Inventory items HB 009, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, 5 metal shelving units. The shelves have been replaced with new and will be disposed of.
Great. Questions or comments?
No, I don't.
Just a quick question. So that would go to scrap? I would
Yes.
assume, all right, so that it could be recycled. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
The pictures look like they had seen hard use.
They've been around a while.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, call for a vote on resolution 2023-13, Highway and Health Department surplus property. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Next item.
I move approval of 3 service agreements with BTEC Fire and Security, Elite Electric LLC, and Matrix Integration. This will be for jail entry and exit badge readers. Fund names 2016 and 2018 GO bonds, fund numbers 4807 and 4811 in the amount of $5,327.50.
Second.
Again, Mr. Kreider.
This request is to approve the installation of a badge reader both entering and exiting a secure portion of the jail facility via the main hall. Currently, the door is operated by key only. ASI will change the lock, eliminating access with the current key population. The badge readers will improve security by allowing users to be deactivated when necessary, and it also provides activity tracking. The project will require work from 3 contractors. BTEC Fire and Security will install the badge readers in the amount of $3,637. Elite Electric LLC will install an electrical receptacle in the amount of $600. Matrix Integration will run the network cable in the amount of $1,090.50 for a total project cost of $5,327.50.
Thank you. Questions or comments?
No, I don't.
It's a good idea.
Thank you for breaking it down the actual cost and for putting together all three companies that are needed to make this happen.
You're welcome.
Is there any public comment on this? Seeing none, call for a vote on service agreements with DTEC Fire and Security, Elite Electric LLC, and Matrix Integration for jail entry and exit badge readers. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Next item.
Take me a second, sorry, just lost my page online. I move approval of a Security Pro 24/7 agreement for maintenance of traffic for the Justice Building. Fund name 2018 Geo Bond, fund number 4811, the amount of $3,300.
Second.
And again, we have Mr. Kreider.
This request is to approve the quote submitted by Security Pro 24/7 to provide MOT equipment and placement for street and sidewalk closure per city of Bloomington requirements in an amount not to exceed $3,300 based on the duration of the window sealing project at the Charlotte Zitlow Justice Center for up to 14 days.
Thank you. Questions or comments?
No, I don't.
I assume the price is less if the project takes less than 2 weeks. Correct.
Yep, there are a
Yep.
couple factors. I think it was $1,900 for the equipment and placement.
Okay.
I suspect that the equipment will need to go in the evening and we'll need somebody to take care of that.
Got it. Thank you.
Mhm.
And this is because they have to take a huge crane up, correct?
Yes, the crane will actually, it's a man lift, a person lift. It will actually fit into the parking zone. However, when it turns, the counterweight will be out into traffic. So we have to close that lane down.
Thank you for explaining all that. Questions or comments from the public? Seeing none, call for a vote on Security Pro 24/7 maintenance of traffic proposal for the Justice Building. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Next item.
I move approval of the Choose Premier Painting LLC service agreement for the Showers Building Fund name Cumulative Capital Development Fund, fund number 1138, the amount of $2,950.
Second.
Mr. Kreider again.
This request is to approve the proposal submitted by Choose Premier Painting LLC to repair drywall and paint connected suites 205 and 206A at the Showers Building. Formerly a leased space, this work is necessary to repair and refresh painted surfaces prior to being occupied by the Monroe County Surveyor's Office.
Questions or comments?
Is this due to flooding?
No.
No, okay.
No,
just routine.
currently the suite, it's had multiple tenants and they've all kind of added their personal touch and we need to cover that up and kind of get everything back to a standard color.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
And this is because we're moving the surveyor out of the health building. Yes.
Yes.
Hopefully they'll like their new digs.
Better
sir-
than they're old.
Is there any comment? Public comment on this item? Seeing none, call for a vote on Choose Premier Painting LLC service agreement for the Showers Building. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Next item.
I move approval of the Harold Fish Inc. service agreement for dishwasher drain line repair in the Justice Building, fund name 2018 Geo Bond, fund number 4811, the amount of $2,350.
Second.
Again, Mr. Kreider.
This request is to approve the proposal from HFI to replace the dishwasher PVC drain line with a new cast iron drain line. Over time, the exiting water temperature of the dishwasher has caused the PVC pipe to warp and joints to fail, leading to recent leaks in both the fourth floor of the jail and courtroom 301.
Comments or questions?
No, I don't.
No, this is an aging building for sure. Yes.
Yes.
Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, call for a vote on the Harold Fish Inc. service agreement for the dishwasher drain line repair in the Justice Building. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Thank you so much, Mr. Kreider, for everything.
You're welcome.
Next item.
I move approval of ordinance 2023-16, which is an amendment of the Monroe County Code, Chapter 440 for animal management.
Second.
And I don't know.
I
are you
am,
covering
I'm
for Mr.
covering
Baker
for Lee.
today?
He is out of the office today. And I think Virgil from the animal shelters should be also online if you have any questions that he may be better suited to handle. These changes are basically dealing with the potentially dangerous levels 1, 2, and 3, and in making some changes to the vicious animal code, essentially modifying the vicious code definition. And instead of having potentially dangerous 1 and 2 and level 3, it's putting a dangerous dog or a potentially dangerous animal. So it's basically just clarifying some of the definitions that they use.
Thank you. Questions or comments, Commissioner Jones?
No, I don't.
I think I would, I mean, I think I know what unjustified means. But I'm not, I wonder if that should be added to the definitions in the code. Because it's such an integral part of the definition itself that it needs its own definition. That's just my take on it. I've kind of gone back and forth on it, but I wonder what my colleagues think, and I think we can ask Mr. Baker to chime in on that, and we can always bring this back for another consideration if another revision is made. But I just wonder if that's clear enough to people. And I think when animal owners, and I don't like to use that word, but when animal owners are in a situation like this, it seems like the definitions are going to be so important and they need to be so clear. So that's my thought on it.
Well, and I've been in touch with Mr. Stouter too about the line that says which causes injury to a person from a single unjustified bite with no punctures deeper than 1/2 the canine. And I think it's really difficult for me as a member of the public to say, okay, are you going to go, if I've been bitten, are you going to go out and measure the length of that particular dog's canine tooth? And Mr. Stouter was very, very generous in saying, yeah, there's a whole big definition, a whole list of how it could be incorporated. So I too was wondering if there was a clearer way, and even maybe just saying of the canine tooth, because yeah, for me, it was just a little vague. And I wouldn't want to be the one who has to go out and measure the length of the tooth, I'll tell you, especially if that animal's been aggressive. So, Mr. Souter, would you like to chime in with anything?
Thank you on that. Those are some good questions. Can everybody hear me? This is Virgil with City of Bloomington Animal Care and Control, representing the Monroe County Animal Management Commission. As far as, going back and forth with how to define unjustified, I think that is definitely something that we talked about, given that we're using it somewhat standard definition. We chose not to add that, but that is definitely something that I think Lee could answer better than I could. With the depth of the canine, adding tooth to that language, that I would support that clarification. That does make sense. And just to let you know, it'd be up to the officers and the medical professionals with the bites to kind of give us an idea of the depth of the puncture wound. And that's how we would define that. So it's in there more for the officers to help and the commission to know which level it goes to than for members of the public to necessarily go out and find for themselves, if that makes sense.
But a medical personnel is not going to know whether or not it was justified or unjustified. Is that part of what you're thinking is?
Yeah, to add that to the definitions. Yeah.
Well, and I think when it's not defined in the document, you go with the dictionary definition of the word. And I just Googled unjustified, and it is not shown to be right or reasonable. So, if that's the definition, there still has to be some kind of qualitative analysis done by both the officer and then ultimately either the Animal Management Commission, or if it gets to the court, the judge to kind of look at the fact scenario and define whether it's justified or not.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be a hard word to give a real solid justification to, given the entirety of all the factual circumstances that could arise out of these kind of incidents. I would hate to have to define unjustified any differently than something that is matching kind of the dictionary definition of it.
Yeah, I understand that would be applied, that it's subjective in its application and it's based on the judgment of a person or commission. I think my concern is ensuring that the public is very clear about what justified versus unjustified means in terms of an animal related situation. And no, I agree that yes, you could use the dictionary definition, but when you're talking about animals, I think that clarification might be useful. I'm still fine approving this today. I just want to pose that question and ask that additional information be considered.
I very much agree with that. How animals view something like that may be rather different than how people do. And what's justifiable to them I just think we need something more specific to work with here. And we do know that people at times enjoy making animals miserable and then are shocked when they get a reaction from it.
I do appreciate the fact that signage is required under this ordinance as well. If there are potentially dangerous animals on a property. And so that I very much support, I must say. Is there any public comment on this particular item? See, none. It's my understanding then that we could go ahead and pass this today and then work with Mr. Baker on perhaps some modification going forward. Okay, with that as the understanding, I call for a vote on ordinance 2023-16, amendment of Monroe County Code, Chapter 440, Animal Management. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Next item, please.
I'm going to make a motion that we continue item J, the easement agreement with City of Bloomington.
Second.
We have a motion to continue the easement agreement with the City of Bloomington. Is there any comment from my colleagues? No. Any public comment? Call for a vote to continue item J, easement agreement with the City of Bloomington. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Next item, please.
I move approval of ordinance 2023-15 to amend various traffic ordinances.
Second.
And we have Ms. Ridge here with us.
Good morning. So these items were presented to our Traffic Commission Board in April and unanimously approved. The first one's to amend ordinance 86-06 to add the following stop location, Wayport Road for Ellis Road, and to amend ordinance 8609, which is our speed limit ordinance, to delete the 2 speed limits on Monroe Dam Road at 45 and 35 and making the entire road of Monroe Dam Road 35 mile per hour.
Questions or comments?
No, I don't.
I don't. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, call for a vote on ordinance 2023-15 to amend various traffic ordinances. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Next item, please.
I move to award E&B Paving LLC various paving projects, fund name Motor Vehicle Highway MVH, fund number 1176, in the amount of $1,789,220.
Second.
And we have Ms. Ridge again.
We opened bids for paving of various Monroe County roadways. They were opened publicly on May 4th, 2023 at 10 a.m. 2 bids were received, E&B Paving and Milestone Contractors. The lowest, most responsive most responsible bidder was E&B Paving. So we would like to accept and award the projects to E&B. The roadways were awarded in the last call of Community Crossing Matching Grant Awards. So 50%, which is $894,610 will be paid from those funds. And the remainder will be from our motor vehicle highway. The roads that were submitted in that round of calls is Smithville Road, Gardner Road, Tunnel Road, Wampler Road, Burma Road, DeLapp Road, Kerr Creek Road, and War Road.
Questions or comments from my colleagues?
No, I don't. I'm just glad it's happening.
Yeah, this is really good news and it's great that it's moving forward.
I'm sure that our county residents will appreciate all your efforts. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, call for a vote on the award of E&B Paving LLC for various paving projects. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Next item, please.
I move approval of the Clark Gates Amendment number 1 for that road bridge, number 79, fund name Cumulative Cumulative Bridge Fund, fund number 1135 in the amount of $1,985.
Second.
Ms. Ridge again.
This amendment is for traffic control, which included flagging personnel when they did the final day of drilling for the geotech investigation. So that is to include this into the design of this project.
Questions or comments? No. I'll point out to the public that it's better to be able to hire people just on a contract basis than to have full-time employees doing this. They've got a lot of other responsibilities and they're trained for very specific items. And so this is, I feel like it's a very good kind of way to go on this.
Correct.
Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote on the Clark Dietz Amendment number 1 for that road bridge number 79. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Next item.
I move approval of a service agreement with Signal Construction, Inc., fund names County General and Motor Vehicle Highway, fund numbers 1,000 and 1176 to various amounts.
Second.
Ms. Ridge again.
The service agreement is for routine inspections and repairs for the traffic signals that are under Monroe County's jurisdiction. This also includes flashing beacons and high-intensity activated crosswalk, otherwise known as hawk signals, pedestrian signals for the Parks Department. These are, which would be on an as-needed basis for the Parks Department. And then each department is responsible for the payment of the services that are provided by Signal Construction Company.
Thank you. Questions or comments?
No, I think I'm making the assumption that if it's a parks related call that they might be paying for it out of the parks fund, but I think it's fine to leave it as it is.
Yeah, when I reached out to Kelly, we worked on this. She had gave me the number of the county general 1,000. So I'm not
Okay,
sure if
yeah.
she would have different funds
to pay
Yeah.
for that.
I think it's fine.
So public comment on this item. Seeing none, I'll call for a vote on the Signal Construction Inc. service agreement. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes 3-0. That's the end of our regular items. I will state that in terms of appointments, we are still waiting for clarification about what needs to happen on our Board of Health before we make additional appointments to that board. The state legislature made changes that need to go into effect July 1, and we want to make sure that any new appointments that we make are in compliance with that new legislation. Remind county residents that there is assistance from FEMA available for the residents who were affected by the recent tornadoes. To apply, visit www.disasterassistance.gov or call 800-621-3362. Application submission deadline is June the 14th of this year. Again, free COVID testing is available at both the Monroe County Health Department and at the Public Health Clinic on East Miller Drive. We are still accepting applications for boards and commissioners. I'll remind you that the commissioners have office hours that are virtual 6 times a month. You can go onto the county calendar at co.monroe.in.us to identify when one of those times is available. And I also, at that same website, people can sign up for that Monroe County alert notification system. There are also blood drives. The next one is Wednesday, June 14th from 1 to 6 p.m. at Ivy Tech Shreve Hall here in Bloomington. There's also one on Friday, June 16th from 10 to 3. There's one Thursday, July 13th from 1 to 6, and Friday, July 14th from 10 to 3 p.m. You're allowed to donate blood as often as every 8 weeks, and I urge you to do that. It's a way to save lives. Finally, we're still hearing about people having problems directly related to COVID with being able to pay their rent and their mortgage. So if there are any residents throughout the county, that includes in the incorporated areas, who need assistance, please contact your township trustee for extended assistance funds. We want to make sure people stay in their homes and stay housed, especially with hot weather coming up. It's a safety issue. So with that, I will ask, is there anything for our work schedule for our work session? I didn't see anything and I wanted to make sure that I didn't miss anything at the last minute. Okay, so there will be no work session today. With that, we will adjourn. It's 10:57. We will return next week on May the 24th at 10 a.m. here in the Nat U Hill Room. Thank you, everyone.